Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to explore a leak I have that I found last episode. If you missed last episode, we went to a Good Guys show, explored a whole bunch of different builds from professional builders, home builders, and hopefully gave you guys some ideas for your project. That's the whole point of car shows, let alone showing off the ride. But on the way home, I smelled oil burning, and I didn't know where it was coming from. The first glance at the top of the engine, there's no leak visible. So I put the car on the lift, and I'll show you the leak in a minute. But the transmission is covered in oil, which is not good, because that means it could be the rear main seal, my hydraulic throwout bearing, or the transmission itself. So that's the project today, is how do we figure out where the leak is coming from? And I'm going to try a new product I've never used before. Many of you probably already have, but a UV dye. I want to put a dye in one of those contraptions to see where the oil is coming from. I'm guessing I'm going to put it in the transmission because that's the easiest for it to get mixed up and then show any leaks, because again, I doubt it's the rear main seal, but we'll explore that. Now, I'm going to jump to the workbench, tear open that package, see how it looks with a flashlight, etc., what we can put it in. Then I'll show you the leak under the car. Be right back. All right, here's that stuff I found on Amazon. It clearly says it's for engine oil, gas, diesel, and even automatic transmission fluid. So it was like $9 or something like that, super cheap. And on the back is directions on the volume, the amount to use per how much oil you have in said contraption. And clearly you have to run it with the dye inside, let's say, the transmission, so it can start penetrating and it will leave a yellow-green glow. That's awesome. Okay, so let's see how it looks before we put it in the oil. Of course, it has another nice child-proof, adult-proof seal. And let's put my screwdriver in there. It looks orangish. Let's see what the flashlight does. Oh, that's pretty neat. So it's orange, fluorescent orange, but it clearly says in the back of the package it turns to green. So obviously when it maybe mixes with oil, it just changes the color. So let's go check out what the transmission looks like currently. Here's the leaks I'm talking about. Back of the transmission, middle of the transmission, and the inspection cover. You can see that big drop right there. This is all covered, and it's not the rear main seal. So I don't know if it's the throwout bearing or the transmission. So we're going to put that glow-in-the-dark stuff in the oil, run it for, I don't know, 50 miles, and see if this stuff glows in the dark. Man. So I already put our dye in the transmission, and I should have filmed it because it turned into be a royal mess. It would have been hilarious for you guys to see it. I was not laughing, but I'm sure you guys would have been. Anyway, I drove for about 15 miles, and you can see drips are reforming on the transmission. And I got my UV flashlight here, and we'll see if anything glows in the dark. Oh, there you go. You can see it all in that seam between the bell housing and the transmission. Starting to come out on the inspection cover. So that answers our question. It is not the throwout bearing, it's the transmission. Great. Well, I knew it had to come out anyway to fix either one. So give me about 5 minutes. I'll take this out and we'll see how to fix that. All right, guys. So we are about to take the transmission out, and I wanted to point out something to you. It totally dawned on me the first time of me utilizing this. It took me 2 minutes to get my X-pipe out. That's because right here I put in low profile band clamps. And if you missed that video, you gotta check it out. They're from Ultimate Headers. Go check out the link there. I'll put a link below, but what a time saver. Those of you that have slip-on exhaust, this would have taken me 2 hours prior, but it really took me 2 minutes. So yeah, I know, I have 3 minutes left. Just kidding. Now, in all seriousness, I have about 500 miles on this transmission now, and its break-in period is over. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain the oil before I pull the drive shaft. And yes, I know, draining the oil takes my 3 minutes. Let's see how it looks. Oh, isn't that pretty? Ha! Look at that. Smells lovely too. Oh my God. So I spilled some on the floor. Check out how crazy that UV light works. Man. Yeah, though the simple things entertain me. Give me a break. See? I told you 5 minutes. Let's go get this on the workbench, see what's up. All right, I didn't take anything off yet, boys and girls, but you can see some oil down here on the bottom of the plate. I'm gonna turn the camera light off because you can't see the UV very well. So lights off, check this out. Looks like a nightmare. Oil everywhere. And you see the seam of the bolt, on the lower ones especially, and a little bit on this upper one. It might be tough to see on camera, but there is some around the bolt itself. So I'm going to call my trusty friend at Silver Sport Transmission, Shane. I'm going to send you some pics. Let's see what you guys think. Because I took the spacer plate off, like this. Nasty. As you can tell, oil's getting out. Probably the bolt holes, I'm suspecting. So be right back with what Silver Sport has to say. All right, team. My buddy Shane said that these bolts probably need to be sealed. So I'm gonna go ahead and take them off and see what we find under here. All right, here we go. So that's what the bearing cap looks like. And if you guys are wondering, this is used by Silver Sport Transmission for the anti-rotate feature of their hydraulic throwout bearing. And yes, of course, I did a video of that too. So go check that out if you're interested. But what they're telling me is they didn't use enough sealant in these holes. And you can tell there's definitely the same oil coming out here. So very cool looking though, I gotta say. All right, so studying this some more, I did notice, if you guys probably saw it too, this upper bolt has more sealant on there. So they obviously clearly tried to seal it, but probably didn't use enough on the lower holes. So it went like that, right? And remember these two especially, and this one had some oil around it. So we're gonna reseal it, and I'm probably gonna seal the gasket too. Just a really, really thin coat of RTV. But in the meantime, I'm gonna clean all this oil off and repeat the process. All right, I'm using my favorite Ultra Black. You guys that know me, I put a really light coat front and rear of that gasket. It's actually a metal gasket. I know it's tough to tell. I'm also going to put some in these countersunk holes on the front. But most importantly, the bolt that goes through here, we want to make sure just that 1/4 inch end is covered, because that's what engages the hole in the transmission. So I'll go ahead and put that all back together, torque it up to 15 foot-pounds in an X fashion, and then take me 5 minutes to put it back in the car. Now, before putting in the car, I decided to leave it overnight, angled down, full of oil. And there is no oil coming out, which is a positive sign. Now, obviously, when this is running, I'm pretty sure there's oil that's pumped through that main bearing. That's why there was an opening at top that you guys saw, and it's flushed through there. So there might be some more force when it's actually running. But this is a good practical test just to see if anything comes out. And those of you that don't know, this is a TKX transmission from Silver Sport. Now the big differences between a TKO and a TKX, obviously the size of the case is smaller, and I have a full video on that. Go check it out when you can. But the gasketed surfaces, these are all gasketed, where a TKO, this is all RTV. So that's based on human error. You can get leaks out the top because it's just not sealed very well. So that's a good testament to the TKX here. This is after, I don't know, 600 miles of use. There are no leaks in the top. So that is reassuring. We just had to fix that front leak. So now I will take 5 minutes and put it back in the car. All right, guys, so it took me a lot longer than 5 minutes to get the transmission back in. The reason is whenever you put a transmission back into your car, make sure you grab your alignment tool to make sure your clutch is lined up. It was not. So I had to take the bell off, partially disassemble the pressure plate, realign the clutch discs. I have a twin disc clutch, and if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's from Ram, and I had to use a steel alignment tool. Highly recommended. So go check out that video, you'll see why. But we're finally back in. Got my new brace installed. Those of you who haven't seen that, this is also the new brace from GForce. I love it. Look at the amount of room. I know the exhaust isn't in yet, but a ton more room between the top of the exhaust pipe and the brace. Oh, yes, sweet. So I'm almost there. I still have to button up the top, you know, get the shift console back in, etc. Put the X pipe back, go on a test drive, make sure it's not leaking. Be right back. All right, guys, time for a test drive. Got to make sure we don't have any leaks and that I put the transmission in back correctly. I definitely know it's not backwards. So you're probably going to hear my annoying fuel pump too. Here we go. See? We'll probably cover that in the next episode. Be right back. I'm back. Awesome. So I went about 10 miles. Plan is to get this car on the lift, see if any oil accumulated. I don't smell any burning oil, so I think we got it. Man, awesome. So get it up there, I'll show you what I found. All right, boys and girls. I let it sit overnight just to make sure that oil had its opportunity to come out while everything was cooling off. But there's nothing. It's bone dry. I am so excited. It looks like we fixed that problem, and we also proved that that UV trick worked really well. It also showed us exactly where the leaks were. Remember those 3 bolts were leaking? Or actually where you can see the oil where it's coming out of? So that stuff could be really handy when you're troubleshooting anything. It could be anything in the engine. You never know where the oil's really coming from, because it's gravity fed from somewhere, right? So I highly recommend it. So another tool you guys can use in your arsenal. So next week, subscribe if you haven't, because we need to really discuss that annoying fuel pump I have. So I don't know if it's going to be next episode or 2 weeks from now or what, because it's going to be a little project, and we're going to handle it. So guys, thanks for hanging out. You guys know the drill. Build them fast, drive them faster. See ya.